Every single guy wants to be liked, but being liked is not the problem. The problem is being forgettable. Let me tell you now, women do not lose sleep over safe men. She stays up thinking all night long about the unsafe man. And ultimately this comes down to how he was able to make her feel, which is exactly what I'm going to teach you how to do in this video. I'm going to break down exactly what makes a man charismatic, what makes him unforgettable, and what makes him forgettable. And first of all, I want to preface this video by saying the specific words which you're going to use aren't always that important. The more important thing is how do you say it? What energy does it carry? What does the words you say really mean? Because you can say two sentences that are the exact same. One will mean one thing and one will mean something completely different depending on how it is said. The eye contact, the tonality, the body language, the context. This is what you have to learn and master if you want to have that big impact on a woman so that she works for you, she chases for you, etc. So let's get into it. First point, you need to stop over-explaining. Now this is something you won't even realize you do. From a very early age, we are programmed to justify, to explain, usually by our parents or teachers. We tell them we want to do something, they ask us why, and then we stand there trying to convince them why we should be allowed or can't do something, which is natural because you're a child. The issue becomes when you carry this into your dating life, it makes you sound unbelievably unconfident when you constantly have to explain yourself. You need to stop doing this. The key to this is you need to get into the habit of saying your point and then nothing else. You hold eye contact for a few extra seconds to show her, I don't feel the need to explain myself. I know exactly what I meant and I meant exactly what I said. If you do this very early on, I'm talking first date, she will know what kind of man you are. Whereas if you're the kind of guy who says, yeah, my favorite hobby is this because I love doing this, which makes me feel this and I love this, what do you think she's gonna feel about you? Point number 2, to becoming absolutely unforgettable. Hold eye contact just a little bit too long. Most men that I speak to, I've been a dating coach for coming up to 5 years now. I speak to men all day, every day, whether that's actual clients, consultations, or strangers, and men generally are terrible when it comes to eye contact. You wouldn't believe the amount of men that will speak to me like this. Yeah, so I was just going to the gym the other day and I was just doing some bicep curls and and they do this with women and they have no idea and they wonder why she becomes bored or uninterested. Contrast this with a man who, when he speaks to her, he looks her dead in her eye, and I'm looking at the camera right now, so I hope I'm looking at the right lens because it's 3 of them. He holds that eye contact and he speaks to her and he speaks very slowly with absolute conviction. Maybe he blinks a few times, but he's not doing all of this. That makes her nervous. That makes her weak. That makes her feel his presence, okay? And when you learn to do this, this is when she thinks, wow, I've never experienced a man who's so confident that he can just lock eyes with me. This is what happens, okay? You need to practice this with strangers. Don't wait for dates. Don't wait for women to practice this with. You should be able to do this with anybody, not just women. Point number 3. Use emotionally loaded language. So going back to the first point, we are programmed from a very early age with exactly how we speak, how we think, how we operate. And the hard part for you guys is most of you watching this are over the age of 25. And when you are over 25, like myself, your prefrontal cortex has fully set in. And now for you to reprogram yourself becomes really difficult. Not impossible, but really difficult. And one of the things that you will do, which I am guilty for, is you use certain language. You'll say things like cool, right, yeah, okay, great. The same kind of boring filler words that don't really have much of an impact. But when you expand your vocabulary and you learn to speak with certain words that will make you feel something, that was amazing. That was so intense. You're creating this emotional feeling around the language which you use. This is why people who are good storytellers are so captivating. Now, storytelling is a bit of a lost art because we don't do it anymore. Instead of listening to stories from our grandparents and elders in our community, we now watch TV. We now play video games. So we've lost that ability to really articulate ourselves and tell an interesting passage about something. This is why I encourage guys to read, to watch things that are a bit more intellectual, because you will pick up on words that the average person isn't watching. Think about guys like Andrew Tate. Part of the lure with him was that he used an extensive vocabulary. The words that he would use were incredible, right? Because most of us had not heard of these words he was using, and because he was saying the things he was saying and then using the language he was using, we were really captivated. And there's probably words he said that you still remember or may use without even realizing because of the impact that it had on you. And tip number 4. So this is more of the flirting that you have to learn to do, because when you're with a woman, you probably realize you need to flirt, and most guys are absolutely terrible at flirting. They don't flirt. They just hope that by being nice to her or by being generous, that will be enough to make her find him attractive, which is not how dating works. Ultimately, you want to make her find you attractive, you want her to jump on you and rip your clothes off, then you need to be making her feel as many things as possible, and this is going to come by, yes, flirting and creating those sexual feelings, all right? Hopefully YouTube isn't going to read what I've just said and then ban me. But teasing is the most basic form of flirting. Now, I have many different flirting techniques which I teach, but flirting is by far the easiest which you can do, and it could be as simple as something like this. She says, I don't usually do this. To which you say, do you say that every single Tuesday by any chance? You're teasing her about the fact that even though she says she doesn't do this, she probably does, okay? An equivalent to this would also be, I've never done this before, she says, to which you say, yeah, of course, yeah, me neither, I've never ever done this. That's you teasing her about what she's just said. You're making fun of the language she's chosen to use. And tip number 5, depending on where in the world you're from, is the final point, and this is never ever over text. I'll flash up some examples now of first bad examples, pause the screen, have a read, and then good examples, pause the screen, have a read, of the guys that I'm working with, and generally bad when they come to me, good when we're done. And what you see consistently is they over text. Now, there's an example which I'm going to flash up from a guy called Dan, and Dan said to me, don't I have to send her a lot of text messages or a big chunk of text to show her I'm interested and not boring? This is how men think. This is your logical brain sabotaging you from thinking you have to do more than you need to go above and beyond to show her, I promise you, I like you, look how interested I am. But this is not how dating works, and women do not think in terms of this. A woman does not see the size of a paragraph and think, wow, he's really interested. She thinks, wow, this guy's desperate, okay? So you need to learn the art of making your messages as concise as possible whilst delivering the exact same message. So this could be as simple as you delete certain words. You ask ChatGPT, shorten this message. You need to convey the same message, which should be some kind of statement or assumption or a joke, never a direct question, implying what you want to say, but then you've shortened it, right? This prompts her to reply because you're doing it in a way where you're moving the conversation along without having to send her an essay. This makes her naturally more curious. You know, why is he just sending me this small message? Why does he not feel the need to over text me like every single man? Ultimately, this is going to create that curiosity, which will then make her want to go on a date. Once you have her on a date, it's kind of easy to go from there, assuming you're following my date guide, you know, free training in the description below. But most guys don't even get to a date because they're over texting, they're double texting, they're questions of doom, how are you, etc. And they wonder why she doesn't feel that kind of motivation to go on the date. Why do you think? You're boring the life out of her. So ultimately, guys, charismatic men, they do not chase. They put things out into the world. If she latches onto them because he's so funny and charming and playful, then she will go on a date with him, and it's as simple as that. Obviously, you have to do the groundwork before. You have to make sure you look as good as possible. You are in good shape, you dress well, you have the nice dating profile, you know how to communicate properly, articulate yourself. Then you won't have the problems you're currently facing. As always, if you want a free strategy call where I'll tell you exactly what you're doing wrong and how to fix that, the link for that is in the description below. If you want some free training, that's also below. Do with that what you will, but until the next video, I will see you guys all later.